My childhood best friend and I both became partners to top-tier alphas in the elite circle. But while he was living it up, I spent 2 weeks guarding an empty house alone, never even catching a glimpse of my own alpha. During a night out, I got wasted complaining about it to my friend. That's when I accidentally spotting the clear, fresh bite mark on the back of his neck. Damn it, my teeth practically ached with jealousy. I'm gonna find an alpha to take care of my needs right now. I never expected that the alpha I randomly picked up that night would turn out to be the very husband I had never met. The man brushed his thumb lightly over my lips, releasing a pheromone so intense and domineering it made my knees weak. He leaned down close to my ear. Don't go crying when I bite you later. Chapter 1. When I received the tycoon's invitation, I was completely stunned. A kindly butler arrived at my door with a pile of gifts, informing me that the tycoon and I had a pheromone compatibility match of 97%. He asked me to consider it and give them an answer. On the other end of the phone, Cole had received a similar invitation. Elijah, I'm gonna be rich. My pheromones are a super match with some big shot. I'm moving in with him in 2 days. The timing was so coincidental that I asked without thinking, what's your big shot's name? Huh? It's Blake, the guy you always see on the financial news. I've been drooling over his face for ages, and now it's finally my turn to get lucky. Hearing that name, I let out a sigh of relief. It wasn't the same person. For a second there, I thought we were about to be played by the same guy. Actually, I just got an invitation to. Holy shit, Cole screamed even louder. I told you that event was reliable. You've been single since birth, but you're finally getting hitched. The event he was talking about was a special matchmaking drive we saw at the hospital a while back. Supposedly a government-backed initiative, it aimed to select suitable partners for people like us. As long as you consented and signed, the hospital used big data to match alphas and omegas with high pheromone compatibility. The parties involved then decided whether or not to date. I wasn't interested at the time, but Cole had dragged me into the queue to sign up. Just try it. Everyone says high compatibility feels amazing. Maybe you'll try it and fall in love. He kept spouting such shameless things that my face burned, and I signed the form just to shut him up. And that led to this. I haven't heard the name Arthur before. I'll ask around for you later. Go. It's not like you're losing anything. He continued to persuade me. You have a 97% match. That's going to feel heavenly. You really don't want to try. Maybe it was because my heat had just ended, but his words made my mind involuntarily wander to some shameful scenes. Fine, I'll try. Cole picked a good day, and we moved into our respective alphas' homes at the same time. Adults understand the implication of this kind of matchmaking. With such high compatibility, regardless of whether they were serious or if marriage was the end goal, the main point was helping each other get through their ruts and heats. So, after hesitating 3 times, I decided not to bring any suppressants. Just as I was about to unpack, my phone vibrated twice. Arthur, you can put your things in the master bedroom. Arthur, I left half the closet empty for you. The butler had told me earlier that Arthur was away on a business trip and wouldn't be back for a while, so we had only added each other's contact information. I typed and deleted for 2 whole minutes before finally replying with a single word. Okay. As I hung my hoodie next to a row of immaculate suits, the tips of my ears started to burn again. Only then did I realize how ambiguous and intimate his 2 messages were. A mix of suppressed nervousness, anticipation, and a trace of shyness welled up in my chest. I gritted my teeth and continued organizing my clothes. When I pulled open the bottom drawer of the nightstand, I nearly jumped out of my skin. Steam practically shot out of my ears. It took me several minutes to calm down before I could feign composure and push the drawer, filled with adult toys, back in. I don't remember much of the unpacking after that. My brain was in a fog, with only one thought circling endlessly. Are we really going to do this? I didn't get in touch with Cole until the next day. I hadn't expected that after just one night, he would be completely conquered. Listening to his description, my head buzzed. You guys, isn't that moving a little too fast? Even a rocket wasn't this fast. What's fast about it? Don't tell me nothing happened on your end. You're the one where nothing happened. At the very least, I already know the size in advance, okay? That counts as a major step forward in my relationship with Arthur. It was a coincidence, actually. My heat came early, so I got the full experience. Don't say I left you behind. Let me tell you. Seeing that he was about to say things unsuitable for broad daylight again, I quickly cut him off. Shut up. Sigh. You'll understand once your tycoon comes back. Chapter 2. Being pestered by Cole every day had my curiosity piqued to the limit. But Arthur still hadn't returned. However, he chatted with me every day. He would send me photos of beautiful scenery he saw, share pictures of delicious food he ate, and promise to take me there next time. He even said he had prepared a gift for me. I gradually let my guard down. One day, I couldn't help but ask him, "Arthur, how about I come find you?" Took a long time to receive his reply. "No need. I'm too busy. I might not have time to keep you company." I was a little disappointed, but I didn't take it too much to heart. Until one day at the villa, I accidentally overheard a conversation between the butler and Arthur's assistant. "Is Sir not back yet?" "Not yet. The boss said it might be a while longer. Thank you for taking good care of Mr. Elijah." Sigh. He was so happy that day. Why does he stay at the company every day instead of coming home? The butler sighed and walked into the kitchen. My hand on the railing tightened. A mix of bitter emotions churned in my heart. So he wasn't on a business trip at all. He just didn't want to come back. I'm the type of person who likes to get to the truth. I followed the assistant's car all the way to the foot of Arthur's office building. As I hesitated about whether to go inside, I heard employees laughing and gossiping as they got off work. "Mr. Arthur has been in such a good mood lately. Lunch and afternoon tea have all been upgraded. It's bliss. Hey. I heard he found the person he's been secretly in love with. Is it true? I'm so curious about this rich family secret crush drama." It should be true. I heard the vice president congratulating him during the meeting the other day. Long after they had walked away, I was still standing there frozen. Secret crush? Obviously, they weren't talking about me. In my 20-plus years of memory, there was no such person as Arthur. And when he chatted with me, his attitude was completely that of a stranger. After thinking for a long time, I gave up the idea of going up to confront him. Forget it. Maybe he just wanted an Omega to solve his physiological needs. What right did I have to question him? He never promised me anything. Alphas really are all bastards. By the time Cole hurriedly arrived, I was already slumped over the bar counter, dizzy and drunk. He snatched the bottle from my hand. "How much did you drink?" My God! Seeing him, I started to slur my complaints. After finishing my rant, I let out a drunken burp. Just as I was about to continue, the light hit him, and I clearly saw a distinct bite mark on the back of his neck. My heart felt even worse. It was all his fault. If he hadn't brainwashed me, how would I have had these expectations? But I was so unwilling to accept this. My teeth literally ached with jealousy. I wanted to know what 97% felt like too. I stood up, and Cole hurriedly grabbed me. "Where are you going, you drunkard? I'm going to find an alpha to fix this right now." Seeing he couldn't stop me, Cole had to follow closely behind, afraid I would do something outrageous. I stumbled forward and suddenly crashed into a wall. I reached out and touched it. Huh? Why is it hard but resilient? I looked up and crashed into a pair of beautiful pitch-black eyes. The person's physique and aura all indicated he was an alpha, and a particularly handsome alpha at that. Lust took over my brain, and I made the boldest move of my life. I raised my arms to hook around his neck and leaned in close. "Handsome, give me a kiss?" The man's body stiffened, and a trace of darkness flashed in his eyes. His left hand cupped my chin, his thumb rubbing my lips gently but possessively. An intense and domineering pheromone filled the air as he leaned down close to me. "Don't cry when you get bitten later." I felt like this person looked familiar. Even his pheromones smelled like I had encountered them somewhere before. But I was too drunk to think straight. My gland was throbbing with a dull heat, reminding me that my heat seemed to have arrived early. So, I fearlessly provoked him. "If I cry, I'm a puppy." The next second, I was dragged into an empty private room. The alpha pressed down on me, his canines piercing into my gland. The room was filled with the thick scent of pheromones. I curled up in the alpha's arms, trembling, as the gland on the back of my neck was touched and bitten repeatedly. It wasn't until the alpha's pheromones suppressed my surging heat that my chaotic brain slowly cleared. I shoved the person in front of me away. Caught off guard, he stumbled a few steps before standing firm. Under the lights, his handsome face looked somewhat gloomy, his emotions unreadable. How could I not recognize him? After a few years of not seeing him, he had shed his boyish awkwardness. His features had matured, and his voice was deeper. Even his pheromones, which I had only encountered once before, had become extremely aggressive, as if they wanted to swallow an Omega whole. My voice was hoarse. "Gavin, are you sick in the head?" He didn't speak. I reached back to touch my gland. Because his movements had been too rough, traces of blood were seeping out. As I walked out, I passed him expressionlessly, turning my head to give a mocking smile. "Are you satisfied now? Marking me, watching me be at your mercy. You're pretty proud of yourself, aren't you? Without waiting for his answer, I slammed the door shut with a bang. In the darkness, the alpha stood for a long time until his numb fingers regained feeling, yet his heart remained tight with pain. Chapter 3. I hadn't thought about Gavin for a long time. He is my stepmother's son. After my parents divorced, because I had a 94% chance of differentiating into an alpha, I stayed with my father. When I was 11, my father remarried. That woman held the hand of a boy my age and smiled, saying, "Elijah, Gavin is an alpha just like you. You two will be good brothers from now on." Back then, I didn't understand that some smiles are poison wrapped in sugar. I naively agreed to get along with Gavin and never caused any trouble for that woman. Looking back, Gavin and I were indeed good friends for a few years. We were close enough to talk about anything and were inseparable all day long. I even occasionally wondered, since he didn't look anything like his mother, what must his father look like? Until everything changed. Actually, it wasn't sudden. I was just too naive. I had fallen into that woman's trap long ago, and by the time I wanted to struggle free, it was too late. She actually added differentiation-inducing drugs to my food, forcibly causing me to differentiate into an omega. Also, my father would no longer care about me and drive me away, allowing her and her son to inherit more of the family fortune. The day of my differentiation was agonizing. The process of reversing from an alpha to an omega was so painful I almost lost consciousness. Even as I bit my lip until it bled, I still spat out spiteful words to the boy taking care of me. "Gavin, if only you were an alpha right now. Then you could immediately give me a permanent mark, making me your trash forever, leaving me at your mercy to insult as you please. Wouldn't that make you happy?" Seeing him close his eyes in pain, I laughed with vindictive pleasure. But as I laughed, I started to cry. Tears flowed uncontrollably. In that moment I really thought, "Gavin, if only you weren't her son. Why did you have to be her son?" Cole drove me back to the villa that night. I felt too embarrassed to sleep in the master bedroom again, so I picked a random guest room and crashed for the night. Once I sobered up, I got up to pack my luggage. Dragging my suitcase to the first floor, the butler hurriedly stopped me. "Mr. Elijah, where are you going?" I lowered my eyes and apologized sincerely. "My agreement with Mr. Arthur cannot continue. I'm sorry. I will explain to him personally and offer compensation." "Oh." The butler sighed heavily, clearly not wanting me to leave. "Is there a reason?" "Sir instructed that we should try our best to satisfy any request you might have. It's for personal reasons. I didn't want to burn the bridge completely. To be honest, aside from Arthur's unknown crush, I didn't dare continue with this agreement myself. After all, I had indeed been marked by an alpha. I didn't believe someone like Arthur could accept that." "Mr. Elijah, is there something our sir did wrong?" The butler's tone was sincere. "It was indeed wrong to neglect you for so many days. Sir just returned to the country and has a lot of company matters to handle. If you have any dissatisfaction, you can tell me, or you can tell Sir directly. This is your right, but won't you reconsider?" I was a bit surprised that he was so reluctant to let me go. Was Arthur really that short on highly compatible partners? Or was a 97% match truly that rare? Thinking further, surely I wouldn't be expected to stay and bear his children in the end, would I? I heard Cole say before that children born to partners with high compatibility have excellent genes. Is that what Arthur is planning? Otherwise, what is he after? The fact that I'm an artist and can draw him a few pictures? Amused by my own thoughts, I subconsciously shook my head. Unexpectedly, the butler misunderstood my gesture, thinking I was determined to leave. He got anxious. "Mr. Elijah, Sir might not have told you, but actually, he has always liked you." "Me?" "Butler, you're making this up on the spot, right? Didn't Arthur and I meet through a blind matchmaking program? How could he suddenly like me?" "He likes your paintings very much. He has always been your fan." The butler pulled me into the study on the first floor. He turned on the lights, and the paintings hanging on the wall came into view. The corner of my mouth twitched. Such luxurious decoration, yet it was adorned with my manga merchandise and art? Was this even appropriate? However, I did believe the butler's words. A lot of the merch wasn't just official manga stuff but also my free fan art benefits I released for fans that you had to be quick to snatch up. There was no need for Arthur to collect these things just to trick me. I turned to look at the butler. "So, does Arthur have someone he likes right now?" The butler looked confused for a moment, then realized what I meant. "Sir doesn't do those things." Before returning to the country, the old master was watching his work constantly and didn't allow him to date at all. He smiled, leaning in to whisper to me, "Rest assured, I guarantee on my career that having been in this house for so many years, There is absolutely no melodramatic drama here. But this room, Sir designed it himself. He even placed these paintings and merchandise here one by one with his own hands. I looked at the paintings again. I was stunned and a little embarrassed. So, didn't that mean Arthur had seen all those fan service drawings I made at the request of my fans? Alright then. So that secret crush turned out to be me all along. Chapter 4. I didn't succeed in leaving the villa. After thinking it over repeatedly, I decided to come clean to Arthur. I didn't mention the study. I just used the same excuse I had given the butler. Arthur, I don't think we can continue with our agreement. I'm sorry. The typing indicator on the screen flashed for several minutes, but no message ever came through. Confused, I exited the chat and reconnected to the Wi-Fi. Only then did Arthur's reply pop up. What happened? Last night, I was marked by an alpha. After sending it, I waited nervously for his response. It was easy to talk big in front of the butler, but if I really had to pay a huge price for breaking the contract, I'd rather just die. Do you like him? I froze when I saw this message. Why was his logic so strange? 10 seconds later, he sent another one. I mean, if it's someone you like, you don't need to apologize to me. Whether you stay or leave is up to you. If I just went along with his words and admitted it, I could leave right now. But for some reason, I just didn't want to admit it. No, I just consider it as having been bitten by a mad dog. I knew I shouldn't say things like that to Arthur, but I said it anyway. Felt like saying it out loud made me feel a little better. I see, Arthur replied. Even so, the decision to stay or leave is still yours. Was it your heat last night? If so, I'm the one who should apologize for not being there with you. I gripped my phone, my thoughts drifting away. I had selfish motives for agreeing to Arthur in the first place, especially now that I had run into Gavin again. The calm lake of my heart had been disturbed, ripples spreading out and making me constantly think of last night and of the past. In the end, I didn't leave. I thought, with a 97% compatibility, even if Arthur and I were just polite to each other right now, maybe after experiencing a heat or a rut together, I would be able to forget Gavin. Forget him, and forget those domineering pheromones that had entangled me for years. Cole was my college roommate and didn't know Gavin, so I didn't say much about what happened that night. He just assumed I had been temporarily marked by some stranger and didn't pay it much mind. When he heard Arthur agreed to let me stay, he excitedly asked his own alpha to help dig up some information. I tried to ask Blake about Arthur last night, but he shut me up with a kiss the moment I opened my mouth. And to think I used to look up to him. I could now listen to Cole share these details with a straight face. But I managed to ask him this morning. Though his expression was pretty complex when he heard Arthur's name, Cole hesitated, lowering his voice. He said Arthur's family situation isn't actually that complicated. It's just that Arthur went missing or something when he was a kid, and was only found and brought back during college. After that, he was developing his career abroad, and only came back this year to take over the family business. I nodded. I hadn't expected Arthur's past to be so twisty. I couldn't get anything else out of him. I asked Blake for a photo, and he just gave me this meaningful look and asked, all snarky, why he would have a photo of another alpha. I chuckled softly. Thanks. I wasn't that curious about Arthur anymore. I'd find out sooner or later. But Cole seemed keen on playing detective. How about we go stake out his company garage? We're bound to run into him eventually, right? I dampened his enthusiasm coolly. We'll get caught by security before we even see him. And then Blake and Arthur have to come pick us up one by one? Do you think that's appropriate? Cole, I was wrong. Let's never speak of this again. One day, Cole asked me out to dinner again. We had barely taken a few bites when he got a call from Blake. Are you really not coming to keep me company? No, Cole said, making a disgusted face at me. Those social events of yours are so boring. The other side was silent for a moment before throwing out the bait. Arthur is here too. Still not coming. His tone was a bit muffled, seemingly perplexed that his own attractiveness was losing out to another man's. Hearing this, Cole's eyes lit up. He glanced at me excitedly and made a demand to Blake. Then I'm bringing a friend. After Blake agreed, Cole hung up without letting him say another word. With Blake's arrangement, Cole and I entered the banquet hall smoothly. He walked arm in arm with me. The bow tie I had changed into last minute was a bit tight, and I raised my hand uncomfortably to adjust it. Blake is over there. Sharp-eyed Cole spotted his alpha and dragged me over. I followed his gaze, but froze suddenly when I saw a familiar face. Why was Gavin with Blake? Before I could react, Cole had already pulled me right in front of Blake. This is my friend, Elijah. I nodded to the legendary figure, deliberately avoiding looking at Gavin. Blake shook my hand briefly, his eyes polite. Then, I saw him look past me at Gavin. "Mr. Arthur?" Blake said with a smile, a hint of amusement in his tone as if watching a good show. "This must be the first time you two have met, right?" Chapter 5. With those words, my heart instantly sank to rock bottom. Mr. Arthur. What did that mean? "Cole and I will leave you two alone." With that, ignoring Cole's protests, Blake dragged him away. I didn't have time to acknowledge the look Cole threw me. I turned around numbly and looked straight at the man before me. A crack finally appeared in his usually calm mask. "Gavin," I said softly, a sarcastic smile playing on my lips. "Or should I call you Arthur?" I watched his reaction with satisfaction. I wondered, when he lied to me, did he ever consider the consequences of being found out? Maybe he did. But even if I knew, what could I do? With his current status and position, I was nothing more than an insignificant ant to him. He could toy with me however he pleased. I had nothing left to say. I turned to leave, but he grabbed my wrist. His grip was tight, and I could feel his hand trembling. So even he could tremble. He dragged me into a lounge, ignoring my resistance and the strange looks from the guests along the way. The moment the door clicked shut, I forcefully shook off his hand. Rubbing my wrist, I stared at him in silence. When he remained silent, I spoke first. "Was it fun playing me for a fool?" "Elijah, I didn't." "Didn't what?" "Didn't intentionally hide your identity?" "Then what was it?" "You, Arthur, were just scared. So you deliberately stalled to avoid seeing me. Right? Whether it's Gavin or Arthur. Do you dare to tell me a single word of truth?" Perhaps because my emotions were too volatile, the gland at the back of my neck throbbed with pain. Pheromones spilled out uncontrollably, but a few seconds later, they were soothed by another stream of alpha pheromones. Even his pheromones communicated better than their owner. Their owner only knew silence. "I'm sorry. Lying to you was my mistake." Arthur closed his eyes. His eyelashes trembled, casting a small shadow on his face that hid the flash of pain in his eyes. "I was afraid that if you knew it was me, you wouldn't want to see me at all. And why would you want me to see you? Why show such a sad expression?" What was he thinking? He knew I was goading him into speaking. 1 second. 2 seconds. Just when I didn't want to wait any longer, he finally spoke. "Elijah, I'm not her son anymore." I didn't say anything, so he raised his voice and said it again. "Did you hear me? I am not her son. I never was." I heard the rasp and choke in his voice, just as I wanted. But why did my heart ache with a sour fullness? I went missing when I was very young. The investigation showed that she adopted me from an orphanage. But I was too young to remember, so I thought she was my biological mother. I admit she raised me. She was legally my adoptive mother. And without her, I never would have met you. But Elijah, can you please not condemn me like this? I have nothing to do with her anymore." His voice grew quieter, his eyes moist. "After you left, I cut ties with her. They died a few years ago. Can we stop being trapped in the past?" My fingertips trembled. I asked instinctively, "What did you say?" "A few years ago, they died in a fire." I took a step back, the corner of my mouth twitching in self-mockery. This world was always so absurd. After differentiating into an Omega, my mother took me away, and I never paid attention to news from that side again. I didn't know Gavin had cut ties with her, didn't know he had been found by his real family, and certainly didn't know about any fire. If you want to transition back to being an alpha, I can provide the latest technology to minimize the damage to your body. Or if there's anything else you want me to do, just name it. I refused. I don't need you to atone for her sins. Nor did I need to become an alpha. I never cared about gender in the first place. I just hated her. I hated what she did to me, hated her malice, and hated that she severed my unrealistic longing for Gavin. Yet, at the same time, I felt a sick gratitude toward her, for making me an Omega, allowing me to receive Gavin's first mark after he differentiated. That was what sustained my twisted existence until now. Then, "Can you forgive me?" I didn't answer. "Elijah, if it weren't for her, would you have liked me?" Arthur finally asked the question, his voice trembling. It felt like it cut through the years, striking the deepest desire of my youth. I heard myself say, "No." Chapter 6. I don't really remember how I left that day. I only remember turning around, pretending nothing was wrong, using cold words to mask the sorrow inside me. I couldn't bring myself to say I didn't like him. I could only say I wouldn't have. My thoughts were in chaos, too messy to think straight. The obsession that had plagued me for years had suddenly vanished into thin air. It left me feeling deeply powerless. Yet I still didn't dare say I liked him. What did my love amount to, anyway? trapped him in the same place as me, forcing him to suffer with me, to struggle with me. All the sharp thorns were pointed at him. But in the end, the most innocent, the most aggrieved person was him. So, what was my love worth? He told me not to be trapped in the past. But the one who needed to move on the most was him. He should start a new life, forget the entanglements of the past, forget the life that didn't belong to him, and forget me. Gavin remained forever frozen at 18. I couldn't voice my love to Gavin. And I was even less worthy of voicing it to Arthur. I didn't return to the villa again. One weekday afternoon, thinking Arthur should be at his company, I sent him a message saying I was going over to pack my things. The first floor was quiet. The butler wasn't there. I didn't pay it much mind and went straight upstairs to the master bedroom. Pushing open the door, I was choked by a thick, intense scent of pheromones and coughed. A figure was curled up on the large bed, buried in a mountain of clothes. Arthur was clutching my clothes in his arms, his brow furrowed tight and his face flushed. It was the look of an alpha in a rut, in desperate need of an omega's soothing pheromones. The overly potent alpha pheromones made my glands start to itch. I should have backed out immediately. The next second, Arthur opened his eyes and looked straight at me. His gaze lacked the usual possessiveness and aggression of an alpha. Instead, it was wet and pleading, like an abandoned puppy. Elijah! The top-tier alpha had sheathed all his sharpness, begging only for my closeness. It reminded me of the day he differentiated at 18, calling my name just as pitifully. I approached the bed step by step and looked down at him. Only then did it hit me. No wonder I hadn't been able to forget his first mark for all these years. With a 97% compatibility, how could I possibly forget? Seeing no reaction from me, Arthur pushed his luck. He raised his hand and tentatively grabbed my fingers. His hand could have easily engulfed mine, yet he only held onto two of my fingers lightly, begging like a child. I feel so awful, please stay with me. I obediently sat down, letting him hold on. Without the comfort of omega pheromones, he quickly became agitated. I didn't dare release my own. Once I entangled with him, things would spiral out of control. So I turned my head away from him. I came to get my things today. Hearing this, he hugged the pile of clothes in his arms tighter, clearly unwilling to return them. No, he said. Arthur, there's no need for this. As soon as the words left my mouth, I was suddenly yanked onto the bed, and Arthur pressed down on top of me. It was as if he had only heard me call his name, those two syllables flipping a switch inside him. My lips were captured, ground against his in the most ambiguous, intimate way. My pheromones could no longer be contained. They exploded instantly, filling the entire room alongside his. When he finally let go of my lips, panting lightly, I looked up at him. Arthur, don't you think I'm cheap? I reject you with my words, but then I run over here. Before I could finish, he silenced me with another kiss. Gently kneading my gland, Arthur lifted his head and said seriously, I don't like hearing you talk like that. A stinging pain came from the back of my neck as alpha pheromones were injected densely into my body. His canines rubbed gently against my skin. You can curse me however you want, but don't speak about yourself like that. The moment his words fell, the tears at the corners of my eyes finally broke free, dripping onto the pillow. My relationship with Arthur seemed to have changed, yet it also seemed the same. My things never made it out of the villa, but I never set foot there again. Arthur didn't seem to care about my attitude. He seemed to have made peace with it, no longer like before where if I didn't let him get close, he would actually stay away. Aside from his unwavering daily greetings, he frequently had food delivered to my door. And it wasn't normal takeout. There was always someone in a suit standing at my door, just to deliver exquisite meals. I couldn't refuse, and after being forcibly fed like this for a week, I gained 2 or 3 pounds. During this time, I told Cole about the situation with Arthur. He commented, just give in. You absolutely won't last a month. But making him wait is good. Otherwise, you'll end up like me, completely wrapped around Blake's finger. We both knew perfectly well that Arthur was waiting for me to come around, and he was certain that I eventually would. Businessmen never make decisions they aren't confident in. Maybe I'm just difficult. Only time could dilute that indescribable discomfort in my heart. The knot inside me was too hard to untie. Even I didn't know what to do. Until that day, when the love I had hidden and dared not speak of for so long was dug up and laid bare, straight in front of Arthur. Chapter 7. It was an ordinary day. My new work was still in the preparation phase, so I hadn't felt the pressure to update yet. I was idling away at home when Cole woke me up with a phone call. Elijah, I think your drafts got stolen. Following the link he sent, I found a new artist account on a social media platform. The latest post featured the very drafts I had prepared for my new work. Only Cole and my editor had seen these. I remembered what happened last month. I had accidentally left my USB drive at a cafe and didn't realize it until half a day later. When I went back to retrieve it, the staff said a gentleman had found it and handed it in. I suspected the leak might have happened then. After discussing it with my editor, I tried messaging the artist privately first. To my surprise, not only did he not reply, but he also posted new content using his account. When I saw the new post, my pupils constricted. Those were my private sketches. His caption read, "This is a new character concept I came up with. I hope everyone likes it." My signature, Elijah, was clearly visible on those sketches. Sure enough, in the comments section, he was claiming to be Elijah. I couldn't understand this brazen impersonation. Wasn't he just waiting for me to take the evidence to the police? Even though I registered an account on the platform to debunk him in time, I couldn't stop the post's popularity from rising. The comments were full of curses, but also praise for the art itself. Is he a psycho? What's the point of impersonating teacher Elijah? Must be crazy. I'm gonna puke. How can someone steal art so self-righteously? Does he know what copyright infringement is? To be honest, though, teacher Elijah's brushwork here is so gentle. It feels a bit like his early style, very green and raw. +1 to the comment above. The character is so handsome. I look forward to seeing him in teacher Elijah's work. After filing a report at the police station, I scrolled through my phone helplessly. The post was getting more and more popular, even surpassing the engagement on the drafts for my new work he had leaked earlier. My report to the platform hadn't been processed yet. I thought of my paintings hanging in Arthur's study. Had he seen these drawings too? After sitting at the station for over half an hour, the police told me to go home and wait for updates. I could only suppress my anxious heart. The station wasn't far from my home, just a few hundred meters walk. I didn't expect that as I turned a deserted corner, someone would suddenly grab my shoulder tightly. "Elijah, did you report me?" The newcomer's tone instantly reminded me of the impersonator online. I clenched my fist, intending to catch him off guard with an elbow strike, but he anticipated it. His other arm locked both of mine in a tight grip. "Don't run, I'm your fan." His warm breath sprayed against my neck, making me shiver uncontrollably. "I've liked you for a long time. You're an Omega, right? I'm an Alpha. Be with me. I like you so much. I'll appreciate all your art, and I'll support your career. Look, I made an account for you. This platform pays well. I'll build up the account for you, and once it's big, the money will be ours, okay? You draw so well. Don't hide it all away. Let us all see." He kept rambling, seemingly immersed in his own world. My heart was in my throat as I tried to find a chance to break free while his guard was down. In the next instant, the man was suddenly choked by the neck, and the force binding me vanished. He was pinned down and slammed against the wall. I immediately shouted, "Arthur, Arthur, calm down." He didn't listen. He pressed the man down until he was kneeling on the ground, the ruthlessness in his eyes plain to see. He shot me a glance. "Want to vent your anger?" I pursed my lips and didn't speak. Arthur let out a light chuckle, though it didn't reach his eyes. It wasn't directed at me. He hauled the man up again. "Fine then. I'll take him to the police station." The man hadn't controlled his strength when he grabbed me, leaving 2 or 3 visible scratches on my neck. Arthur brushed aside my short hair and applied a bandage around my gland. His movements were so gentle they tickled, making me shrink my shoulders involuntarily. "Does it hurt?" His touch became even lighter. "Arthur." I lowered my eyes. "Did you see the posts he made?" "Yeah, I saw them," he answered perfunctorily. "Don't worry. His account has already been deleted." "You know that's not what I'm asking." The atmosphere fell into silence. After a long while, he finally spoke. "Then what are you asking?" "Elijah, what do you want to hear me say?" He let my hair down and clumsily tied it into a small bun for me. His question was soft and gentle, as if guiding me. Yes, what did I want to hear him say? That he saw my drawings, and that all those drawings were of him? That he recognized my art style and knew I had been secretly drawing him since high school? Or that I was a coward who only dared to hide my affection in my art? "Do you remember the class autumn trip?" Arthur turned his head to look at me, smiling. "I remember. You brought a sketchbook saying you wanted to sketch the scenery, but you wouldn't let me see it when you were done. MHM. I hummed softly. "I drew you." Hearing this, he just smiled. "And that basketball game. You made a 3-pointer to turn the tide. I drew that too." "Yeah. We went out for a meal that night and drank alcohol behind the homeroom teacher's back. You dozed off in physics class and got caught by the teacher, then had to stand in the corner as punishment. I drew that too. I saw you secretly laughing at me. You didn't even know the physics teacher was glaring at you. Whenever I spoke, he would follow up. As we talked, I realized my own eyes were gradually crinkling with a smile. Yet my heart felt a sudden tartness. It was like being soaked in lemon water, faint, but leaving a sour aftertaste. I opened my mouth to continue, but Arthur suddenly leaned in. As the tip of his nose brushed against mine, I instinctively closed my eyes. A warm sensation landed on my lips. A cherished kiss that had finally landed after crossing years of difficult times. I know. His thumb brushed away a tear at the corner of my eye. You don't have to say it. I know. You like me. Me too. I've liked you for a long, long time. Actually, there were things I hadn't told Arthur. When we were 18, my differentiation period came earlier than his. No one was home, and he was the one who took care of me, even though I kept throwing sharp words at him, telling him to get lost. That was the first time he didn't listen to me. He held me in his arms, busy taking care of everything, trying to alleviate the pain of my differentiation, even if only a little bit. I clearly remember that I left many scratch marks on his shoulders and arms. When I felt pain, he offered his arm for me to scratch, as if he couldn't feel pain himself. Later, his differentiation period arrived as expected. And Alpha's differentiation didn't seem easy either. At least in my eyes, he was as fragile as a pitiful puppy. I couldn't harden my heart. I secretly opened his door in the early hours of the morning, only to have my mind captivated by him, never wanting to leave. He seemed to be in so much discomfort that he forgot the time and where he was, hugging me and refusing to let go. He didn't know that it was then that we completed our first temporary mark. The next day, when he regained his senses, he followed my previous orders and stayed far away from me. He didn't even notice the bandage covering the gland on the back of my neck. Only I, like a thief, savored the faint scent he left behind, thinking that perhaps this was the closest we would ever be, and the only time. Fool. Only a fool wouldn't dare to say they like someone. If you enjoyed this story, remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.